Hi, this is Bill Walters from ERTL Farm Toys, and I'm here today to talk to you about our new 1/16 scale International Harvester 786 tractor. Back in 2018, we produced an 886 tractor for the toy farmer, and this is the second model coming from that tooling, the 786. We did have to make a few modifications from our 886 to get to the 786, but before we talk about the toy, let's talk about the real tractor. The 786 was just made for a couple years, 1980, 1981, before it was replaced by the 88 series, and specifically the 3088 tractor, which had about the same 70 horsepower. These tractors were produced in Rock Island, along with all the other IH tractors at the time. A lot of the 786s you see would not have a full cab. Some had four-post ROPs. But we decided to do a full cab version. One of the things that's interesting about the 786 is because it came out so late in the timeline of the 86 series, they already had went to what we call the tri-stripe graphics. The early 86 series obviously had white panels. They got real late into the 1980s, 81s. They went to this tri-stripe. So you see on our toy, we have the nice tri-stripe red, white, and blue striping, along with obviously the red hood and side shields. So let's talk a little bit more about our toy. Obviously, we did have to do some tooling changes to go from an 886 to a 786. Some of that was in the interior. The seat actually changed. The console by the steering wheel changed, as well as we changed the amount of hydraulic outlets on the back, so we also had to change the side console that handles the hydraulics. Other than that, a lot of this is similar with the 886, still has the same D358 engine. Obviously wide front end, steerable. We do have the 3-point hitch on the back. So overall, very nice tractor. We've never done a 786 before, at least in this type of quality. So I would advise you to pick one of these up. You can find these at your local Case IH dealership. One of the fun things that we get a lot of questions on is how do you make these tractors? What all is involved in terms of the tooling and the parts, etc. You might be able to see in front of you some of the parts it takes to actually make this tractor. So we wanted to spend a little time and kind of give you a quick overview of the way we do that as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about how the tooling is set up and how we look at what we need for the tooling and the various parts to make different tractors. Many of you have put together a plastic model kit, or at least seen a plastic model kit, where you get all the parts and they're essentially what they call is kind of on a tree, where all the parts are little branches of those trees. We do the same thing. Obviously, some of these parts are die-cast, like you see here, and then others are plastic, where they're molded into the correct color. So we've got quite a few die-cast parts here that I just want to talk to you about briefly. Obviously, these, as you can see, are the main body left, body right, as we call it. They have the engine detail and obviously the rear chassis. Doing die-cast tools is a little more time consuming. Obviously, a plastic tool, it comes out in the color you want it to be. So it's a matter of just trimming these off where they're on the tree, and then you have a part. But with die-cast, obviously you use zinc. It comes out in the zinc color. So from here, once you take the part off of the tree, you typically have to do some sanding or run it through a machine that will get rid of all of the sharp edges. The next thing you do then is to put it through a wash or a clean. That makes sure that there aren't any materials, whether it's solvents or anything that were used to help get the part out of the tool. You have to clean it good. And then after that, you have to dry it before you can paint it. Then it goes through a paint machine and gets painted in the correct color before you can start assembling it. So anytime you have die-cast involved, you have a lot more steps, a lot more processes to get this to a finished item. So again, this tree, you see we have the main bodies, the left and right bodies that show all the engine detail. We also were able to get a steering wheel into this piece. You need a hood as well as the bodies to cover over the top. We also have the front grille area on this part. Die-cast rear rim. This one, actually, if you look at the real model, you can see that it has two colors on it. So this piece has to get painted twice. Once for the inner rim and another for the outer rim. We have the front rims as well. And essentially the rear PTO area on the back here, another part there. I don't have every single part here or every tree, but this is a good representation of all of the items. So then we start getting into the plastic parts. Obviously we have a couple trees worth of some of the plastic parts, the rear fuel tank, part of the interior of the cab, as well as the console, the seat. Obviously we have what we call the IH cream, the parts, the cab roof, some of the grille parts here. Obviously in red then, we also have the base of the platform. And here's some that just show some of the parts of the three-point hitch, the lift cylinders, and those type of parts, three-point hitch arms. And obviously, if you want to have a cab and you want to have cab glass, you also have to have a clear piece. So this is obviously the cab glass that's in one part. So obviously it takes a lot of time and effort to plan out all the different colors, how these parts all work together, doing the assembly work after that. Obviously then all of the additional paint and decoration to make it look right, putting the decals on, etc. So this is a real quick overview of how we put a tractor together, and I'd be excited to hear any comments or questions, and thank you for watching.